Have what's called radical acceptance of what's going on, meaning that you just accept it for what it is without a judgment first. See things neutrally. Don't put your negative connotations to it yet. So be where the puck is, be where the ball is going, all right, so to speak. Predict, have a level of prediction. So how do you do this? Observe what happens when she pulled away before. Okay. Guys will focus on the pull away. So what'll happen is the attraction's there, everything, especially like if you're in honeymoon phase or you just start dating a girl, the attraction's there, things are going really well. And then all of a sudden, like her behavior changes just a little bit. And then guys go, oh shit, like what's going on? Is she talking to another dude? Is this, that, and the other? Then all those anxieties crop up. Look, a lot of times, maybe those things are true, maybe not. Don't let your anxiety direct you. Have what's called radical acceptance of what's going on, meaning that you just accept it for what it is without a judgment first. See things neutrally. Don't put your negative connotations to it yet, okay? You don't have, especially if you don't have enough evidence to support that stuff. So don't try to predict it through a filter of anxiety, okay? Because that's not going to help you. Anxiety perpetuates itself. When you're having anxious thoughts based on all these bad thoughts and bad feelings from previous experiences or fears, what happens is your brain looks to confirm the anxiety. It's not looking for an objective view of what's going on. Even though you think, well, I want to confirm and make sure and know the truth. You think you're pursuing truth, but the anxious mindset actually is pointing you towards confirmation bias to the anxiety. So keep that in mind. When she does pull away, what normally will happen, what happens to a lot of guys anyway, is they get anxious about that. And so then they start pursuing her harder. They start texting her more. They start placating to her more. They start complimenting her more. They start, you know what I mean? They start to smother her a bit. And then she feels smothered and she pulls away harder. Her attraction goes away more. That's the pattern. You don't want to do that. So when it happens, don't get anxious. Just stay neutral. And then what you want to do is just get on your point of origin. Start thinking of things that you need to do outside of the relationship and start doing them. Number two is you have to get very observant. What you want to do is you want to think, because you probably didn't notice what happened before the pull away. So every person has patterns of habits and behaviors that they do. Every human being does. And so you want to get a baseline of what her normal behavior is. So her normal behavior before was being maximally desiring towards you. But then what happens is somewhere along that, there's going to be small little cues or signs that she'll give off that a pull away is coming. So you want to notice and recognize what those signs were after the fact, because now you have hindsight 2020, right? And then you use that information to be able to predict the next time that she's going to pull away. And then you get ahead of it the next time. So that is advanced, okay? That requires really good observation skills. Now, in consults with dudes who are trying to learn game better, I train them how to have those observation skills. It's a little bit, it's a little extensive for a video like this, but even simple things as just dissecting and being observant of what people's behaviors are. Even doing a simple version of a Kim's game, which is a reconnaissance thing, but where you go out in public and you observe couples, observe people, observe body language. See, when you're in the moment, you oftentimes are in your own thoughts and experiences. You're not observing her. And so that's a mistake that a lot of guys make, right? So you want to be able to do that, okay? You want to be able to observe what happens as much as possible. That's going to help you maintain the frame in your dating and your relationships a lot easier. So that's a step that you want to do, is that she's going to pull away at some point, even in dating. It's a normal thing. Observe what happened. Observe what her behavior was prior to. Also observe too where she's at in her cycle. Okay, we have a thing called ovulatory shift. Rollo Tomasi talks about that on his channel, Rational Male, and his books. It's really good thing to look at. He dissects it in terms of the dating marketplace. Marty Hazelton talks about that as a researcher. She talks about ovulatory shift as well, which is all right. So essentially, I'll be dropping a video to talk about this more, but it's about 7 to 10 days. But you can expect about a week, 1 week of every month. She's really horny, okay, and sometimes her horniness is actually beyond what a dude's is. All right, I know men are more, generally more sexually motivated than women are for that variety, because men are have higher testosterone, and that drives their sexual behavior for the entire month. I won't get in the weeds in this too much, so I'm going to do a separate video. Women, though, are cyclical. Their sexual, they get very driven though during about 7 to 10 days of the month, and then there's other parts of the month, usually towards the end of the cycle, where progesterone comes up, estrogen comes down a little bit, her own testosterone comes down a little bit, and then she'll go through a period of not being as sexually motivated or as horny. So that's something you want to observe too. When she's on her period, or because she'll say it, or it'll come out, or you'll just know it, right? And so when you're dating or seeing somebody, she gets on her period or whatever, just note when that happens, and then get your calendar out, mark it. Now, some women have unpredictable cycles. Some women are on birth control, and that changes things for them. Whatever, just observe it. All right. And I won't get into the weeds of it because there's a lot there with what if she's on the pill, or if she has an IUD, and different things that happen hormonally for her. But her hormones make a difference here. If she's pulling away a little bit during a period, but she's not toxic, she's not creating arguments, she's not running off and doing crazy stuff, but it's during like the down part of her cycle, that's actually to be expected, not a big deal. You just stay on your own mental point of origin, do your own thing, she'll come back to you. Okay, that's fine. If she's pulling away though during that 7 to 10 day period during ovulation, when her sex drive is the highest, that's a red flag. You need to notice that, because that means her desire and attraction for you is probably going the other way. She should be eagerly seeking sex out from you during that period. Now, does that mean she's always initiating? Well, women are responsive in their sex drive, where men are spontaneous. Okay. Women get signaled through response. So a woman might be in the middle of her cycle and be completely asexual in her thinking, although her body is like, get some sex. She's just, all she knows is she has tense feelings, but she's not actually, thinking about sex in that manner. And then someone hits on her, or something stimulates her sexually, and now, boom, floodgates open. Okay. And so don't worry so much about initiating sex. Some guys get really hung up on it, but notice how horny she is. And if she is wanting to be around you more, and she's wanting sex from you more, at least when you're initiating, she's more responsive, and she is wanting more of it. All right. She should be wanting that during that 7-day period. All right. So you want to track that. And if she's pulling away or creating drama, or if you notice her pulling away during that period, that's a red flag. That indicates that desire is down for you. All right. So you got to notice this stuff, because a lot of times, especially in relationships, the desire will go down and a guy won't even notice. And so the desire's down for several months, and then she's thinking about breaking up. Guy doesn't even know. There's so many situations where the breakup is initiated or happens, and the dude is completely surprised by that. So that's because guys tend to not be observant of these things. So your observation skills are key in advanced game for dealing with the chase. You can predict it beforehand, or at least interpret it when it's happening, and then know what to do to take action.